Hello, folks. I'll read to you the last seven titles of the daily inspirational messages, and you guys can pick one and we can start from there. Okay, here they are. Lifting ourselves to a higher level of consciousness. God's love is always available to you. Today, let us practice being who in truth we are. The truth in you cannot be judged. The ego's imaginary childish games. Giving up nothing and getting everything in return. And the ego's judgments or the peace of God.
The first or the second one? What was the first one?
Well, one was the first one was lifting ourselves to a higher level of consciousness. The second one was God's love is always available to you.
Yeah, that one. I don't know if everybody else was in agreement.
That's fine.
All right. Let's begin there.
And then maybe if we can do number one. So they will do two and then we'll jump to one. Is that possible?
Well, I'm not quite sure because what we're trying to do is do like an hour a lesson for each date.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of like try to get focus on one date.
Okay, then let's leave the one that Lori selected. Day two.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This is the July 8th daily inspirational message. God's love is always available to you. This is the condensed version, which is 2 paragraphs long. I'll go ahead and read them, make a couple comments, and then we can start the class. All right, here we go. Paragraph 1. God has selected all of us, or else all of us would not be here. If you're here on earth, it is because God and the world need you here. Today, if you feel anxious or in a sense of, if a sense of hopelessness seems to be draining the oxygen out of the sky you breathe, pause and say to yourself, I now choose to stop supporting thoughts and a way of thinking that is not supporting me. Then look inward and from a deep place within your heart and soul, ask to have the breath of life once again breathed into you. Love is your oxygen. Love is your true fuel source and foundation. Love is your eternal essence and nature. Being all one, when you feel low on fuel, offer any of love's expressions to others. When you do, love will flow through you and throughout your day. Offer what you desire to experience, and you will feel your own tank refilling. Paragraph 2. Today, if you find yourself lost within the ego's darkness, do not worry. Instead, learn to use these instances to call upon the light, the love that God is. The more you practice calling upon the light, when you are in despair, the less time you will spend in despair, and the more you will see that the light is always available to you. In any moment, you can invite God into your heart, mind, and soul, and ask the divine to lead you out of the darkness. Simply ask God what to think, say, and do, and then think, say, and do only that. You have come here to be a light within the darkness. You have come here to offer hope to those feeling hopeless, and peace to those battered by the ego's storm. Today, practice returning to the present moment, the holy instant in time where the love of God forever resides. Then share with others that aspect of love that the moment seems to be requesting. The more you practice this process, the more you will see and understand that God's loving light is available to you even when you're perceiving it as too dark to see. End of paragraph 2. All right, so the title is God's love is always available to you. Okay. Now, we go into situation A or B, right? It could be, and A could be anything and B can be anything else, right? And then we are programmed to respond thanks to past programming. So past programming responds to the present moment. Okay? So you're not responding to the present moment as it's being offered to you by God. You're responding to the present moment when you are feeling judgmental and despair, angry, resentful, hateful, judgmental. Anytime you're feeling those emotions, it's because you're using your past to define the present. If you use your past to define your present, then you're covering over the present moment. And what is the present moment? That's God's eternal gift to you. But if you're using any of the ego's emotions and expressions, you're bringing that past programming onto the now. And then you're blocking the now. And the now is God's gift to you. This is you're supposed to be experiencing this right here, but you're experiencing this. Okay? You're blocking what's truly being offered to you in the moment. And at every present moment, there's some gift from God to you. When you have peace, when you experience it with joy, with compassion, with mercy, with grace, with understanding, then you're seeing the moment as it's being offered to you by God. When you're feeling anxious, resentful, hateful, judgmental, fearful, anxious, doubtful, then you're simply responding to the present moment through your past programs. And so the idea is that God's love, aka love, and all of its love's expressions, right? There's numerous love's expressions. They're always available to you. It's just that sometimes the ego blocks that awareness from you. So when the ego blocks that awareness from you, when you choose judgment instead of forgiveness, when you choose condemnation instead of compassion, don't punish yourself for that. Just learn to recognize, okay, I'm reacting in this manner not because this is the proper response to the present moment, but because I've been programmed to respond to this situation in this manner. So let me place these past programs aside by forgiving my misperception, forgiving my brothers and sisters, and then changing lenses from the ego's lens. You put the ego's lens aside, and you put God's love's lens. Now you view the world through the lens of love instead of through the ego's lens, judgment-centric, fear-based lens. And so that's the basic idea, is that no matter what the situation is, God's love is available to you in that moment. You just have to learn how to recognize it. You just have to learn to recognize the gifts and when you're blocking the gifts. Any comments or questions?
I have a question, James.
Yes.
So I'm very grateful because I was able to apply. I really felt that attending this class these past weeks, I was able to apply it to a situation that really brought out a lot of anger in me and anger in my husband. And um, before we had the confrontation, I had a long car drive. And so I was praying, and really, asking for peace and everything. And so when we got to uh, meet up and talk, everything was calm and peaceful. So after that, I thought, oh my gosh, it worked. All these things I've been trying to learn, I was able to apply. I was so happy. And then not long after, I got a call from my brother from the Philippines, and he told me something, and it's about the situation of my mom, who is being controlled by my aunt, her older sister. And again, this feeling of, okay, now this is really tough. I mean, how am I going to apply what I just applied and what I just learned? Because this is a whole level of extreme uh evil. Okay, so my aunt is controlling my mom is preventing my two adopted brothers from seeing my mom. I also went through that, I was blacklisted, but I was able to be able to see my mom again, but only in the restaurant, not even in her house. But so what my aunt is doing is something so preposterously, extremely, like, it's beyond us. How can somebody be so, for lack of a better word, sorry, I know we are not supposed to be judged, but evil. So in that case, again, I've been struggling. So that's why I was looking forward to this lesson, because I wanted to ask you that.
All right. Okay. Whatever it is that I say, the one thing that you always want to remember is do what brings you peace and you will have peace. Okay? So that's the first thing that we have to remember. Whatever the situation is, and the ego will paint the situation in 1,000 different ways, right? It's gonna try to make it look complex. Complexity is of the ego. Simplicity is of God, right? So the simplicity is do what brings you peace and you will have peace. And you can apply that to those 1,000 stories. And your end story is just one of those 1,000 stories that the ego can throw your way, right? So you want to have that foundation. And then you want to do the opposite of what the ego demands. Okay? Very simple. Do the opposite of what the ego demands. Okay? Your ego, when you see your aunt's behavior through the ego's lens, what is your response? Through the ego, it's judgment, it's anger, it's resentment, it's hate, it's thoughts of revenge. Okay? So the ego is trying to poison you through your aunt's behavior. And so you're not going to help anybody if you're poisoning yourself when somebody's reacting in a manner that simply shows that she's asleep to who she truly is. Okay, so don't poison yourself when thoughts of your aunt come into your mind, no matter what your aunt is doing. Do not poison yourself with your thoughts of your aunt. Instead, do the opposite of what the ego is demanding and pray for her. Okay? Imagine angels coming towards her and breaking all those chains of control and whatever it is that she's holding on to that's making her perform in that manner that's less than loving in nature. Imagine having angels just come to her and help bring light into the darkness and send blessings to your aunt. And each and every time you think of her, use that moment to practice praying for her and practice inviting angels to come in and to help her heal whatever thoughts she's having so that she can maybe start to treat people better. So you see, you're healing your aunt. What is your aunt really doing? Your aunt is offering you the opportunity to see that in any situation, you can choose peace instead of the darkness and delusion of the ego's mindset and world. All right? So when you start to see your aunt as a teacher of peace, because she's offering you the opportunity to choose peace, then now your response to your aunt starts to become one of gratitude instead of condemnation. Okay? So you have to remember your whole world resides right here, inside your mind, right? You can poison yourself through the thoughts you think of your aunt. And yes, the ego will say she's very worthy of those judgmental thoughts. But you have to understand something. The ego doesn't care about you. It only cares about its survival. So the ego is going to have you do whatever, express any kind of emotion that will support its mindset so that it can continue to live and thrive through you. Okay? So when you start to hear those ego thoughts, those thoughts that are unloving in nature, simply practice recognizing when the ego is trying to take over your mind. Anytime you have anger, judgment, resentment, hate, it's simply the ego trying to take over your thoughts. And if the ego can take control of your thoughts, then it can control your mind. And if it can control your mind, then it can control your life. Okay? But it all begins at the level of thought. So if you can start to recognize the level of thought when your thoughts are aligned with love, with God, or when your thoughts are out of alignment with love, with the ego, and do the opposite. And then after you've thought those loving thoughts about your aunt and prayed for her, then you have to remember we live in this duality. Okay. And so maybe you have to do some things legally or not to try to help your mom in that situation. Obviously, I don't know the details, but it doesn't look quite a loving situation right now. So control your thoughts. Pray for your aunt every day. Pray for your aunt every day. Pray for your mom. Use those moments when the ego is trying to suck you into its darkness, not to fall into that despair, not into fall into that quicksand of the ego. Because what happens when you're in quicksand? If you fight when you're in quicksand, you only sink deeper and deeper into the madness, correct? And so you don't want to fight the ego. You want to just recognize this is not where I belong. I do not belong in the quicksand of the ego. I belong on the solid rock foundation of love. Okay? And so you act from a place of love, from the rock, not from the sand. Okay? Yes.
Yeah, I talked to the lawyer after because I needed to, and the lawyer knows this. I mean, I don't want to take any legal action and be involved. All I want to do is find a way for my two brothers to be able to visit and see our mom. Just that. So I want to gather, also pray for courage for me to be able to find a moment where I can tell my mom, because the thing is we're all guarded. That I mean, we don't have an opportunity anymore to have a one-on-one with my mom, me and my sister. Um, so it's really difficult, but I will pray. I did pray for my husband before we talked. So I think there was a lot, I had a 5-hour drive, so that was long. So I think now I have some days before I go back to the Philippines. So I think I will use that to pray. And I have been praying for her, but I think not as much as I did, like really solo and imagining all the angels. So I will do that. And thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, you were able to come to a place of peace in regards to your husband because you took control over your thoughts and you aligned them with love, and you prayed for your husband and you prayed for wisdom for yourself to be able to interact with your husband in a loving fashion. And something good came out of that. And so the same thing that happened with your husband, you can practice doing it to the next level with your aunt. And if you can start to see your aunt in that loving manner, then imagine all other people you're going to be able to see with love instead of condemnation. And so, yes, if you need to get the lawyers involved, that's what we have to sometimes do in the duality of this world. And yes, of course your brothers should see your mom. That's pretty obvious there. So yeah, sometimes we have to do certain things in the duality of the world that help us lead us to peace. And again, do what brings you peace and you will have peace. So if calling the lawyers is what brings you peace, call the lawyers. If calling the cops is what brings you peace, call the cops. But call the cops from a place of peace, not from a place of anger. Call the lawyer from a place of peace, not from a place of anger. And so you see, you're making peace your foundation, not the ego's tools and mindset. And you act from that place. Yes. And yes, bring your spiritual family in. Bring the angels in, your guardian angels. Bring Christ. If you believe in Christ, bring the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
Bring God. And you have a whole spiritual team available to you. But remember, the greatest spiritual law is free will. So if you do not ask for help, you will not receive help, because they can't interfere unless you ask. So that's the number one thing. Learn to make your spiritual team available to you.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions about finding God's love in any situation and how it's always available to you? Let's see. Glory, how you doing? How's your peace this week?
Much better. Yeah.
It's okay, step by step.
Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of good stuff. I've been listening to Byron Katie too with the 4 questions and her experience of how she got enlightened. I was like, oh God, I wish I could get enlightened like that. It'd be much easier, wouldn't it? If I could see that we weren't real, you know? How come some people get to see that and some of us don't?
Well, we all have a plan before we come here. And the problem is that when we start to compare ourselves to others, that's where our own self-judgment comes in.
Yeah.
See, you have a sacred plan for you, designed with a creator. And the creator is perfection. So your plan, no matter what the ego says, has to be perfect for you.
Yeah. Jesus. I was really insane when I came here. I was telling my friend, I said, oh yeah, I can do this. Mm-hmm. And the angels were like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I got this. I should have listened.
Yeah, that's what always happens when you pick a tough life.
Whew.
They say,
Yeah.
are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to take that on? And you say, yeah, I can take it on. And then you experience life.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't, in the end, after all is said and done, they wouldn't allow you to experience your journey if you couldn't really handle it. And so everything that you're going to go through, you can handle and you can overcome.
Mm.
And so just keep on trusting that I have co-created my journey with God. God is perfection. Therefore, my journey must be perfect for me. It is only when the ego is thinking for me that I cannot see that perfection. So let me take my thoughts back from the ego. Let me learn to use these moments not to fold into despair, but to trust God more. See,
Yeah.
the ego wants you in despair.
Mm-hmm.
The ego wants you worried and doubtful and fearful and anxious, because that supports it and its survival in your heart and mind. But you
Yeah.
see, anything that the ego tells you, because the ego is in opposition to God, who is all, anything that is in opposition to all, which is truth, must be a lie and must be nothing. So anything that the ego tells you is not real, not true, nothing. Okay? It's only when you make nothing into something that it affects you.
Right.
It's only when you believe in the ego's lies as true that you're affected. When you start to recognize
Mhm.
the ego as the simple lie that it is, the liar and the lie that it is, the nothingness, the fairy tale, the fantasy that it is, that's when it loses its power over you.
Yeah, because I'm noticing, I'm noticing tiny glimpses of change. I'm getting moments of just total peace. There's nothing in my head, just total peace until the next thing pops up. But I'm feeling it right now. It feels good. It feels good.
Yeah, whenever you're in the despair, just remember Psalms 23, right?
Psalms.
Yeah, it's 23.
Mhm.
Oh, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Yes, I will fear no evil, for God is with me, my rod and my staff. You
Comfort me.
comfort me.
Yes.
Prepare a table for
The
me in the
presence of
presence of
my
mine
enemy.
angels, mine enemies. He anoints my head with oil, my cup runneth over.
Amen.
Surely
Yes.
goodness and mercy. Isn't that it?
Yes, that is exactly it. And let me tell you, that's probably the most important palms there is.
Psalm.
Yeah, Psalms. There is, yes, Psalms.
Psalm 23, you said it is, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, 1 through
Yeah.
6.
Yeah. Okay.
So the enemy doesn't appreciate that Psalms. So
Right.
you know it by heart.
Okay.
I will recommend everybody to know Psalms by heart, especially number 23. And anytime you're in despair, just put that thought Psalm in your mind and process it and feel it and watch the darkness disappear and disperse.
Yeah, I love the Psalms. I love the Psalms. Mhm.
Yes. So yeah, you're getting those little points of peace, and little by little, the more you support the truth in you is true, the love in you is true, and make a conscious decision to decide through love, then those moments of peace will become more and more. They will begin to extend. Okay, and this is just a mathematical formula, right? So the more moments of peace you have, the less moments of anxiousness you will have, right? Let's say we're up for 16 hours a day. If we make a conscious decision to support thoughts of peace and joy and compassion and kindness, that's going to leave less time for the ego to try to take hold of your thoughts.
Right.
And so anytime you have a little victory, learn to pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back, because you're doing what God created you to do, which is to be the light of the world. In each moment and in every interaction. That's all we have to practice doing. Is listen to the interaction and ask love, what expression of you of love can I offer this interaction right now? And when you're doing that, you're doing what God created you to do and be, which is to be a light in the world. And sometimes when you're alone with your thoughts and the ego tries to take control of your thoughts, just stop for a second, recognize, okay, the ego is trying to take control of my thoughts. What is my function in this moment? Okay, let me offer myself forgiveness for my misperceptions. Let me let go of them and let me come back to love. And instead of condemning myself, let me offer myself compassion. Instead of judging myself for my past thinking, and my past programming, let me remember that I've co-created my journey with God and that each and every moment is here to help me grow, heal, and awaken. And so if each moment in reality is here to help me grow, heal, and awaken, then this exact moment, when the ego is trying to take control of my thoughts, I get another opportunity to practice remembering that I control my thoughts. My thoughts should not be controlling me. When are you in control of your thoughts? When your thoughts are loving in nature. When are you not control of your thoughts? Even though the ego will try to make you think that you're in control of your thoughts. When your thoughts are unloving in nature.
Right.
Because remember, God is love, right? And you are God's creation. Therefore, the truth in you has to be love, right?
Right.
And only the truth in you is true. Okay? So only the love in you is true. Everything else is just a story that we've been programmed to believe. Okay?
Right.
So just practice taking back control of your thoughts from the ego when you're by yourself, and just learn to recognize when is the truth in me in control of my thoughts, and when is the ego trying to take control over my thoughts. And so you see the ego's just unknowingly, the ego's being self-destructive. Why?
Right.
Why? Because it's helping you practice realizing that in any moment I can choose peace instead of this. I can choose to take back control of my thoughts and thus of my mind and life.
And I find too that I'm not getting any anxiety, no panic attacks. You know, I was getting a lot of panic attacks, a lot of anxiety. And the other night I even had a dream that there was this whole scenario where I had to choose if I wanted to be part of the group to prosper, or I wanted to choose God. It was a real vivid dream. And I said, that I was going to choose, I chose Christ. And they took me down to this little room, and I, it was a small room. They closed the door, and in the dream, I could feel myself getting claustrophobic. But I just said, no, I've got this. God, you've got me. And I never got claustrophobic. And then I woke up from the dream. So that was amazing, because usually I would have woken up being like I can't breathe, you know. But in my dream, I chose Christ over the things of the world, about of getting, you know, doing what other people were doing so that they could get recognition, they could be part of the group. And it's funny because that's what I've always wanted, to be, you know, part of the group. I'm always the outsider, but in reality, in this dream, I didn't want that. I wanted what I've got now with God, and it's that peace. So maybe that was just my spirit letting me know that I'm on the path, you know?
Yes, and that's what you want to practice doing. It's anytime the ego throws your way anxiety, panic attacks, worry, doubt, fear. That's an invitation from the universe to practice trusting God more. Okay? So what is the universe really doing? It's offering you the opportunity to recall that you can trust it and thus have peace instead of fuel your anxiety and thus keep going down that dark ditch into madness and despair,
Right,
into panic
right,
attacks. You know?
right,
And so just use those moments not to condemn yourself. Don't condemn yourself when you're being anxious or worried or fearful, or even having the, when you start to feel that panic attack. Don't condemn yourself. Just see it as a perfect opportunity for you to practice trusting God more. And they say, thank you, situation A or B, that's causing this anxiety, because all you're really doing is helping me practice trusting God more, and therefore practice trusting, therefore reminding me that I can choose peace in this situation. Even here, I can choose peace.
right. And that works even with like depression, because I'll just get this dark depression from nowhere, you know? And then I'll just be in this really dark place where I just can't even function, you know? And all I do is just cry, God help me, you know? And I just have to call out to God, because there's nothing else that I can do. And I'm getting less of those moments now, you know, less deep depression. So, yeah.
Yeah, we've talked what happens in the esoteric realm when things like depression start to begin to try to take over your mind. Okay, imagine you have two angels on one side and two, let's call it, demons on the other side. Okay,
Hmm.
and there's two angels. Every time you think loving thoughts, compassionate thoughts, kind thoughts, they come closer to you, and let's call them demonic, falls away, right? Because the demonic cannot
Hmm.
handle love, cannot handle
Right,
expressions of love. But if you
right,
start to think negatively and you start to think depressive thoughts, then what happens? The angels move away and the negative entities begin to come in.
right.
Everything is fueled by your energy. So these negative entities will try to, they start to, every emotion in the spiritual realm has a smell to it. Okay? So when you have depressive thoughts, those entities are like animals. They smell. They smell
Yeah,
the depression. They smell the fear, and they come to you, and they start to use you as a gas station. Oh, this person deals a lot with depression. I love depression, says those negative entities, and so they come really close to you, and they attach to you. And now they're using you, and they're asking you for more and more depression. That's why you fall deeper and deeper into the darkness.
yeah,
But you're starting to learn that you have free will. Above all else, you have free will. You can say stop. You can say enough is enough. I'm done supporting these thoughts in my mind. I want to stop fueling them with my time, with my focus, and my energy. I will not fuel those thoughts anymore. And you being having some religious teaching, You can say, I bind these thoughts in the name of Jesus.
Name of Jesus.
I bind these
Mhm.
thoughts of depression, of fear, of anxiousness. Okay?
Yeah.
So just remember, you have control over the thoughts you're thinking. The thoughts you're thinking should not be controlling you.
Right.
And so stop investing your time, focus, and energy into them, and slowly they will begin to fade away. But if you add your depressive thoughts to depression, they will begin to be fueled, and more of your day will be expressed in that manner.
Yeah, definitely.
And so the beautiful thing is that you create heaven or hell on earth
Hmm.
by the thoughts you choose to support. Okay, you can create a hellish day for yourself. Equally so, you can create a heavenly day for yourself.
Yeah.
You can
Definitely.
create a hellish life for yourself, or you can create a heavenly life for yourself. You can fulfill your function as the light of the world that God created you to be by supporting those heavenly thoughts, or you can, through free will, decide otherwise and add darkness to darkness. But you're not here to add darkness to darkness. None of us are here to add darkness to darkness. We're here to bring light into the darkness. To
Can
show,
I?
yes, Isabel.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes. Hi, James. Hi. Hi, Lori. Um,
Hi.
I know you're a therapist, and the many times you have helped other people, and I have spoken to you, and I heard beautifully, beautiful guidance and illumination. And many times we, ourselves sometimes struggle on helping ourselves because it happens to me too. And I know for a fact that there is clinical depression, which means there is an unbalance, chemical imbalance in our brain, as so many cortisol levels have attacked and diminish our hormones of the good feelings, right? So I don't know if you have tried helping yourself with something that could help you boost your the hormones of the good feelings. I had clients that always, came for sessions and they were crying all the time, crying and crying. And I said, just try, please, at least. I'm not prone to, medications and stuff. I always like the holistic methods, the therapeutic method, yoga, meditation, positive thinking, and, the power of attraction, visualization, praying, Course in Miracles, Come to Unity, so many things. And at times, even those things doesn't help when they go to the doctor and they give them those medications that help them boost their good hormones. They come back next week and say, Isabella, I feel so good now. I don't know if I'm gonna come back. I mean, found myself addicted to these medications, but I so much love it. I feel so good. And I still think about those thoughts with my ex that left me, that breakup, but I don't feel bad about it. It's like, yeah, as the weeks go by, of course, I still have some, things to keep working, and therapeutic sessions helps. But yeah, sometimes there's the chemical imbalance that you may feel sometimes. I don't know where I feel depressed, or I don't know where I feel anxious. There's an imbalance that needs to be treated as well, together with what we do, if that could help.
Yes, that's good advice. Also, a lot of times people do have chemical imbalances. Okay, and so you do want to. I'll give you an example. My mom has Huntington's, right? It's a disease of the brain that eats away at the brain, and so I had her on a very specific diet, and one of the things in the diet was broccoli. Okay,
Hmm.
because broccoli really helps the brain, right? So I would feed, I would have the helpers feed my mom broccoli almost every day, right? And then I go to myself, wait a second, let me just give her an allergy test. Let me see if there's any foods that are really not affecting her, that might be affecting her in a negative way. And there were like 4 or 5 foods that were very negative towards in her system, and one of them was broccoli. And so I was giving my mom something that the world taught me was good for a human being's brain, right? But it wasn't good for my mom's brain. And so you can have a lot of really interesting allergies to foods that are quote unquote great. Okay. And so you always want to get allergy tested. You always want to get your chemicals tested. You know, you want to remember the studies always say that exercise is very important when it comes to depression. You can do water only fasting. You can fast for 3 days, water only. Okay. And those 3 days you can pray. You can do a lot of prayer. You can do worship music. Worship music is incredible when you
Right.
start to get into it. I don't know if you ever heard of Brandon Lake. Have you,
Mm-mm.
Lori, since you've been, no? Okay.
No,
There's
I like to listen to. I listen to a lot of like black gospel and like Hillsong and stuff like that.
okay. Well, try
Uh,
try this one. Try Brandon Lake, and the song is called Gratitude. And you can do the radio version and the live version. And let's just say it can be a beautiful moment you have with yourself when you're listening
Yeah,
to.
I need to play more music. I used to play my music a lot, but I've been so involved in the course, and yet I do exercise. This morning I did a swim at 6 o'clock in the morning. I walk the dogs. So I do exercise, I do eat right, but I do suffer from bipolar disorder due to my traumatic past. I've never taken medication, but because I'm getting older, I don't get as many manic and I get a lot more deep depression, which happens with bipolar as you get older. You don't get too many manic stages, but you get more depression. So, I learned I've been learning to manage it. I've never taken medication, but I do manage it. So.
Yeah, yeah, and just okay. LB, do you have a comment or a question?
Well, we're three girls. First of all, we're doing a 3-day fast, and it's helping us a lot. Second, Lori, I wanted to add that I was diagnosed with bipolar a while back, and I'm not saying I'm 100% cured from it, but I've been meditating for 5 years, and I took medication for like 2-3 months, and then slowly with a few habits like thoughts and feelings and emotions
Mhm,
and a lot of dedication, I
mhm, mhm.
barely have any symptoms. And I don't know if you believe in that, but I truly think it's an experimentation of what really works. Maybe one day swimming really helps the depression, and then sometimes it makes it worse, in the same way that something triggers your energy, or it just like gives you peace and calm. And I realized that going slow and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
taking as many shoulds from my mind
yeah,
really
yeah,
helped, because
yeah,
for me, my like the triggers came from a lot of I should be this way or I
yeah,
should be this
yeah,
way, and
yeah,
I used to go to the extremes.
yeah,
And
yeah,
balance is just understanding that acceptance and
yeah,
change. That's the balance that I'm finding within
yeah,
myself. It's like, okay,
yeah,
what energy am I today? I accept it and I move with that acceptance. And I have to say it truly changed me in a profound way. Just taking as many shoots from my brain as I could.
yeah, yeah,
And then my question was, obviously it's because you're very sensitive and I'm very sensitive, and the thing that I'm working on right now is protecting my sensitivity, protecting my energy, and I
yeah,
find that to be one of the hardest things, right? Because
yeah,
we live in a world full of people, energies, agendas. I wanted to ask James what was maybe some strategies or ways to protect his energy. Maybe it's a thought, or maybe it's just taking 5 minutes, or whatever it is. We're open to learn more about that, because the three of us are working in our energy and in changing and in growing as yeah, and changing our frequency and the flow that we're in.
Okay. Yes. One thing I would recommend. I don't know how if your guy's a Christian or some other religion, but let's and for example, I'm Christian / Catholic. I go through a lot of denominations of Christianity, and whatever people believe is perfectly fine with me. I have no problem with that. One of my recommendations would be, okay, is let's imagine that let's just imagine that Christ did come as God/man, right? Put aside anything that you've been polluted by Christianity. Let's say, obviously the priest stuff with kids, the church being one of the richest businesses in the world. It has a lot of stuff that it's been degraded the message. Okay, there's some Bibles that have red lettering, and so you can read what Jesus actually said. So one thing I would recommend is, even if you're not a Christian, just read what Jesus said. Just start a personal relationship, not including the church, not including priests or whatever. Just read what, if he was God, what did he say? Wouldn't that be interesting? If God actually did come to the planet, wouldn't it be useful to know what he said? And that helps you see what kind of partners you want in life. How should a man really be speaking, or a person? What kind of things should a person be saying, especially in Christ's position, a man? How should a man be speaking to you? What are godly words? You were talking about acceptance and change. I would add gratitude. Practice making gratitude a response at least 20 to 30 times a day. So you have acceptance and you're okay with the change. You give yourself the opportunity to feel your feelings, which is beautiful. Okay. You can only heal what you allow yourself to feel, right?
Mm.
So it's perfectly okay to feel whatever it is you're feeling. Accept what it is you're processing. We don't eat something and then punish our body because it didn't digest it in 2 hours. If it takes 6 hours, it takes 6 hours. If it takes 3 hours, it takes 3 hours. We don't punish our bodies for digesting the food when it needs to digest the food. So let's not punish ourselves when we're feeling certain things. We'll just process it at our sacred pace, remembering always that you co-created your journey with God, with perfection, and so your journey is perfect for you. So if it takes you 6 hours or a day or 2 weeks to process some emotion, don't judge yourself. Don't punish yourself. Just be with it, and then always practice offering gratitude. Thank you, God. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your companionship. Thank you for helping me remember that in each moment, I can look your way. I can look to the ways of the light, of love. I can allow love to lead me, and some loving things to do are what you did: acceptance, gratitude, self-compassion, patting yourself in the back. And so those were some things. Gratitude is one of my, I would say, is my personal companion. And so no matter what the ego throws your way, offer gratitude, because there's something here for you. It wouldn't come into your life unless there was something there for you. God wouldn't allow it into your life unless there's something that you can use to help you grow, heal, and awaken from whatever situation you're going through. Because whatever the situation that you're going through, and in your case, it was the whole bipolar thing, what usually happens is that before we come to Earth, we say, you know what? I can bring light into this location on Earth, or this energetic location on Earth. And maybe that energetic location is bipolar disease. Okay? So you say to your guides, and you say to God, God, I can bring light into this bipolar situation on Earth. I can help lead my brothers and sisters back to the light in them. But to truly do that, a lot of times you have to experience the darkness to know what that darkness feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, alcoholics, they have sponsors, right?
Yeah.
Why do they have sponsors? It's because those people have gone through the darkness, through the
Mhm.
shadow, the valley
Mhm.
of death. Okay, so
Mhm.
when those sponsors speak, the alcoholic listens. Why?
Yeah.
Because the alcoholic hears in the sponsor's stories their own story,
Yes.
and they go, "Oh, he or she went through it, and she overcame it. Therefore, I can overcome it too." And so, see, that's what you did as part of your mission on this planet. Is you went to that darkness, and that darkness was in the form of the bipolar. But you're going to overcome that, okay? And
Yes.
you're overcoming, and you will overcome that.
Yes.
Why? Why would you? Are you? It's a guarantee that you will overcome it because you co-created that situation with God, and God
Yeah.
would never offer you something you cannot overcome. And so what
Yes.
you're going to do is you're going to overcome this experience, right? Now you're going to have this life experience in your tool belt, in your spiritual tool belt, right? And then guess what's going to happen? God is going to start to send you people who have bipolar issues.
Yeah.
And those people are going to actually listen to you because in your story, they will hear their own story. And they will say, if this person overcame the bipolar, then so too can I. But it was only because you experienced the bipolar stuff that you got to
Yes.
help heal all these people that God is going to send your way. Okay, so that thing, that challenge, that darkness that the ego would have you condemn yourself for and others for, is actually the thing that taught you your purpose in life or your mission, part of your mission in life.
And it's the first time that I've ever admitted it in front of other people or even told that story because yeah, it's very taboo for a lot of people. It's not as common, right? It's a
Mhm,
very specific purpose, but
mhm.
I I truly think it came as the teacher, as you said, like I had to go through that darkness in the same way that they tell you that you choose your parents. They're your biggest teachers because they just show you the things that the patterns that you have to break and the things that the darkness that you have to face in order
Yeah,
to step into your power, step into your purpose, and have that confidence and clarity and mission to move forward. And yeah, and I don't feel shameful at all about what happened or my process. But yes, thank you, Lori, for giving me this opportunity to share my story. And hopefully it helps you, gives you hope. Hopefully it connected to you in any way. But
yes,
yes.
it did. Thank you. And also, I protect my energy. I'm very sensitive when it comes to animals and
Yes.
animal abuse. So, I mean, I rescue, and what I've had to do is I can't go on Facebook anymore. And yeah, I'm very
Mm,
careful where I go because I see so many animals being abused. And that really, if I see an animal dead in the street, I just say, God, I pray for it, but it brings me down. So I have to
yeah.
protect my energy in that way.
Yes. Yes. I haven't been on social media for 5 years, for example. Like I just,
It's too
yeah,
much.
it's a lot for me. So, yeah.
Pero pregunto acerca de la familia, si está cerca.
Oh,
Family
they wanted
close,
to ask about protecting your energy with specifically like your family, which is
family.
usually triggers, right? Like you're trying to change and it's almost like your environment sometimes feels like it's pulling you down. And we wanted to know like how can we remain connected but also protected and keep moving forward.
Yes, just keep reminding yourself that you have control over the thoughts you think. Just keep reminding yourself that you define your experience. Okay, so let's say a family member is judging you because you want to move in a certain direction, right?
Mhm.
If you view what they're saying through the ego's lens, you're always gonna have some sort of anger or resentment or feeling attacked by them, right? But you see, they said something, right? But you
Mhm.
defined what they are saying, right? So you can define what they're saying through the ego, which leads to judgment and guilt and shame, or you can define what they're saying as simply them being asleep.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
So you know when somebody is when somebody's asleep, why would you judge them for being asleep? It makes no sense to judge somebody for sleeping. Okay, and so when your brother or sister is sharing something that's unloving in nature, just remind yourself, okay, my brother or sister and is in each and every moment doing the best they can with their spiritual, emotional, and physical tools they have available to them in that moment. I will not judge what they're saying to me. In fact, I will do the opposite of what the ego is demanding. And instead of judging them for judging me, I will instead forgive them. And when you make the conscious decision to forgive instead of judge, you break that chain.
Yes.
Because if your brother or sister judge you, and then you judge them back for judging you,
Mm-hmm.
then you're chained to them, and you both fall into the ditch.
Yes.
Right? But if they judge you, quote unquote, judge you, and you instead say, okay, they're simply asleep to who they truly are and to who I truly am. And so I'm going to forgive their misperceptions of me. Okay. And so when you forgive your misperceptions of them, because they can only be who God created them to be, right? Love. If they're not being loving in nature, then they're simply asleep to who they truly are. And you don't have to waste your time punishing them for being asleep, punishing them for having a nightmare, because that only sinks you into that same nightmare.
Yes.
So, like Jesus said on the cross, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If Jesus can forgive those people who are crucifying him on the cross, you can forgive your parents or your brothers or sisters for saying something judgmental in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So
Mm-hmm.
practice making forgiveness your constant companion.
Yes.
Okay? Because judgment wants to take its place. The ego says, oh, you must judge those people who judge you because that equals power. No, that's taking away your power because your power comes from God, comes from love. And forgiveness is an expression of that love. And so when you align with the energy of forgiveness, you're aligning with love, you're aligning with God, you're aligning with true power. Okay? When you're judging those who judge you, you're aligning with the ego. You're aligning with nothingness, with the fairy tale, with the fantasy, what's not real or it's not true, it's not you. We're the powerless. If God is all powerful, the ego is powerless. Okay, true power comes from love, not from fear or judgment. And so forgive your brothers and sisters, those who judge you. You know, they're just doing the best they can with the tools they have available to them in that moment. They think they're coming from a place of love. Okay. And so you just love them. The Course in Miracles says, okay, love is the appropriate response to love, right? There's either love or a call for love. There's nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Love or a call for love. The proper response to love is love. The proper response to a call for love is love. Okay. And so love them in the best way that you can. Forgive them. And you can say to yourself, I forgive them, Father, for I know they know not what they do. Okay. And then love them. No matter what they think they do, just love them. And little by little, when they see you aligning with the light inside of you,
Mm-hmm.
you start to offer love in more interactions and situations instead of defense and
Mm.
judgment. They too will start to see that there's something inside of you that they want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
Because they want that peace.
Yes.
They want joy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they want to feel compassionate and kind and loving. That's what they truly want. It's just that their past programming is blocking that self-awareness. But don't judge them for that. Forgive them, love them. No matter what they think, say, or do, just be love.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Any final comments or questions before we close tonight?
Actually, I just have a quick one on the theme of God's love is always available to you. I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, I've been saying to myself, higher self, fill me with love. And then I quickly feel it. So I've been kind of doing something like that, and I can tangibly feel it whenever I say, higher self, fill me with my love, or higher self, help me vibrate in the frequency of love. And it's instant. So I think it's kind of verbalizing that for me, and then I could feel it, and it's been quite profound. So it's a good reminder. It's always just a moment away, just a breath away. We just put our focus there and we can feel it.
Yes. Love is always just a choice away. No matter the ego's drama, okay? The ego's gonna say, well, this situation here, you can't find love right now. This situation, maybe you can find a little bit of love. And this situation, you can't find love. But see, the ego's always gonna try to mix the situation with how hard it is to be loving in this situation. But in reality, love is always just a simple choice away. Okay? I can choose peace instead of this. I can be loving instead of judgmental. In this moment, it doesn't matter how little love the ego says you must offer in situation A, B, or C. It doesn't matter, because the ego says, well, situation A, there's no way you can be loving. It's going to take you 2 months to forgive. And so you spend 2 months in pain, right? When the choice for forgiveness was always there, available to you. Forgiveness is always available to you. Compassion, kindness, generosity, mercy, and grace are always available to you. No matter how dramatic the ego says the situation is. I can forgive instead of judge. I can offer compassion instead of condemnation. I can trust God instead of my fears. And that's just one choice away. And all you have to do is just close your eyes and visualize that ocean of love coming in towards you like waves. Like waves. Ask love, can you fill me, please? God, can you fill me, please? And then you visualize those waves coming into your body, through your skin, into your bones, into your heart. And then you offer that same love and gratitude to God, to Source. And so you breathe in those waves of love. You fill yourself. My cup runneth over, right? My cup runneth over. You fill yourself with that love, and then you offer that love to all those that God sends your way.
I find that it's easier to do that for other people than it is to do it for myself. To find love and compassion and forgiveness and all those things that we are told to give other people. We have to be able to do that for ourselves first. And for a lot of us, who've been through a lot, it's very hard to give that to ourselves. So that's what I'm learning to do, is to give myself grace, to rest when I want to rest, when I need to rest. Because, when you have bipolar disorder, you sometimes you feel like a dog chasing your tail. You just do, and you get so exhausted and you don't know how to stop. And I guess it's because that old programming always said you were no good, you were never going to be anything. So you're always, part of it is always trying to prove that you're worthy, that you are good enough. And it's exhausting, So that's what I'm working on, is having more compassion and love, and resting when I need to rest, and not trying to be everything to everybody and do everything, that I don't have anything to prove. But it's a process. It's a difficult process, but little by little.
Yes, and remember, pay very close attention on how you speak to yourself, okay? Because if you say that something is very hard, you're gonna make it appear to be very hard. Okay? So when you say it's very hard to forgive myself, when you just say that, you're setting an instruction. It's gonna be very hard to forgive myself. You're setting an unconscious instruction. And so start setting instructions that are loving in nature and say, it is natural and normal to have grace for myself because the Father of grace created me, and therefore his treasure is my inheritance. Grace is God's treasure. I am God's child in creation. Grace is his inheritance to me. And so I am forever worthy of grace. And so from now on, no matter what the ego says, when the ego says it's very hard, no, it's not very hard. All I have to do is accept my inheritance. My inheritance is grace. I am worthy of grace. And because we're all one, I will offer grace to everybody that God sends my way, no matter what the ego says they're worthy of. And so, because we're all one, the more you offer grace to your brothers and sisters, the more you start to heal yourself and start to recall that, yeah, you know what? Maybe I am worthy of grace. And so you just keep reminding yourself that grace is your inheritance as God's child in creation. And so you are forever worthy of that. And offer that same grace to every single person that ever comes through your mind or through your heart. Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you,
Thank you
everybody.
very
Lori.
much.
Thank you,
Thank
Jen.
you, James.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
Good
Yeah.
Thank
night.
you.
Thank
Bye.
Good night.
you. Good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
Night.
See you
Good
all
night.
tomorrow.
Bye.
This class will be available tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Thank
in
you.
my YouTube channel. Thank you.